grade. Well, that's what it was. Nice 4-inch crack across the top of my radiator. That coolant came flying out of there so quick, it literally looked like my engine was on fire. My trusty fire extinguisher, which I make a habit of keeping handy in this little pocket underneath my driver's seat here, right where I can grab it in a pinch. So I grabbed that, jumped out of the Jeep, and popped the hood, expecting to have a fight on my hands, but thankfully it was just coolant coming out of that crack. All right, well, it's been a few days. I've done all my homework and my research, and originally I was gonna import one of those high-end aluminum radiators, like a Griffin or slightly lower grade Mishimoto, and but the problem is there's really mixed reviews. There's a lot of people reporting that they had to make warranty claims 2, 3, 4 times on those, and which is fine if they have lifetime warranty. You just maybe you get 3 years out of it, and you got to replace it. But that's a problem for me here because I'm in Asia, so making warranty claims for me is a lot tougher than the guys in the States. So I need something that I can put in and I can, not worry about. And luckily, just before I clicked the buy it now on an OEM radiator from the US, which is going for, I think that one was somewhere in the neighborhood of $600. Because they've been discontinued. So of course, people want to buy them up and price gouge them. But just before I bought that one, a buddy of mine here found a reproduction made in Taiwan. It's not made in US, but it's definitely better than made in China. So I got that one. I got that one here, and I compared the two, and they, more or less, they look pretty much identical, with some little alterations here and there. But I think what I'm going to do is install this one and keep an eye out for an OEM unit that's a little bit more reasonably priced. And once I find one, I'll grab that, and I'll probably I'll put it up on the shelf and keep it in my stock, just in case this one goes bad. So I'm going to get started here. What I'm going to do first is drain what's left of the coolant out of this radiator, and once I get it empty, I can pull the coolant lines top and bottom. Then I can pull the bolts out of the fan shroud and lay the fan shroud against the front of the engine. Give myself some room. I can pull the overflow tank, and then I'll have access to the bolts for the radiator itself. All right, so I'm going to start by draining the radiator. What I like to do is get a pair of vice grips, and I don't know if you'll be able to see from this angle, but yeah, take my word for it. There's a little drain tube down here with a little tab on it that you twist. There we go. When you get that open, there's your coolant. So I like to put this hose on here because if I don't, the coolant kind of comes down and bounces off of my steering assembly here and just makes a huge mess. So let me get this. Yeah, that sped it up. Get the cap off. Man, I got antifreeze everywhere. This entire garage stinks like antifreeze. The entire engine compartment. Yeah, we'll see how long this takes. I can get this overflow tank out of here. Put that to the side. I guess I can get started with these hoses. I got sort of a mismatch of hose clamps going on. I should probably get some matching like this on the bottom. The bottom I have the factory style that you use the channel locks for. But these, I don't know, I just like these better. Okay. Yeah, these come off nice and easy because I replaced these hoses when I did the rest of the coolant system. It was about 5 months ago now, 6 months ago. So those are all brand new. They should slide right off. I'm gonna need channel locks for the bottom one. I don't know if it's safe to pull that bottom one yet though. It's probably not. I'm gonna get to work on the fan shroud bolts first. Your Jeep may be different, but on mine, that's not gonna work. All my fan shroud bolts and my radiator bolts are all 10 millimeter. And I made sure of that because that kind of stuff drives me crazy. The coolant's making me have to go to the bathroom. All right, there's one. Should be another one down here in this gusset. Yeah. It's funny. I got gloves out on my table to keep my hands from getting too greasy. Guess where they're at? Still on the table. I think I'm drained. It just stopped dripping into the bucket, so. There's shroud bolt number 2. Man. If you're living on the East Coast and you're watching me do this, don't think that you're gonna have an easy time, as easy as I'm having right now, because you guys deal with that road salt and those nasty winters. I got none of that. It's February 3rd today, and it was about 70 degrees outside today. So we don't have road salt and all that stuff to deal with. And so my Jeep is, as you can see, fairly rust-free. All right, so that's the fan shroud. Now I'm gonna get that, I think it's safe to get that lower hose. Let me squeeze that to see if there's anything left in there. I think it's good. Here we go. There we go. So that lower radiator hose clamp, that's the factory style you need channel locks for. It's kind of a pain in the butt if you don't have channel locks, but it's not so bad if you do. It's actually pretty quick if you got the channel locks. Let's see if I can get that off from the top. I think it's coming. we go. Lower radiator hose is off, upper radiator hose is off. And now for the transmission cooler lines. All right, so what I've done, as you can see here, is pinched the transmission cooler lines off with a pair of vice grips. And I have two different size bolts that hopefully one of these is going to fit in that tube when I pull it off. Okay. Hopefully this comes off with a fair amount of ease. I might have to pry that. Let me grab a screwdriver. There's always one part of the job that's got to give you more trouble than it should. I guess this is going to be that part. Maybe I just unbolt the valve. Let me get this other one first. Hopefully this one will play ball. Okay. Nada. Okay. Time out. I really did want to show this stuff coming apart in real time, but there's the fittings on the bottom of this radiator. Unlike the replacement radiator, these are normal fittings. The hose would slide over top of these, and then you put your hose clamp on here. But the ones that are on that radiator are actually barbed, so that's why I couldn't pull the hoses off. Instead of a smooth surface with just a little nipple here, those on the old radiator have these sharp edges, like jagged teeth, that the hose slides on top of, and after a while it gets locked on there. So that's why it was able to spin, but it wouldn't pull off. So I wound up having to cut a line in the hose on the driver's side. Passenger side, the bung is still stuck in there. I'm gonna have to get the knife and cut that off, but at least I got both of them free of the radiator, so I can get back to the mounting bolts here. There we go. That's one. There's my differential vent hose, and there's bolt number 2 down there. I figure out how where I'm gonna put this radiator when I get it out of here. I have to put it in a plastic bag and put it back in the cardboard box that the new one came in, I guess. Not sure where to take it after that. Maybe a service station or something. That bottom one's tricky. Yeah, I can't really describe where it is, but it's down there. It's in line with the other two, but it's all the way down the bottom of the flange. These bolts screw into these little sheet metal clips, and the looser the bolt gets, the more the clip moves around, and it makes it feel like the bolt is done, but it's actually not. All right, so we got that one and one on the other side. So this one is all the way down. You can probably see it. I can actually get to this one from the top. There we go. Now I can get these two top ones out, and we're golden. except I'm probably going to make a huge sloppy mess when I pull this radiator out of here. All right, so we got 4 shroud bolts, 6 radiator bolts. And here comes the radiator. There she is. Not slopping around like I thought it would. Yeah, this was the original one, or at least an OEM. There's the Chrysler symbol. Let's see how these compare. Basically the same. Slight differences. I still need to take this tab out here. You got to remove this if you have air conditioning, because that's where the AC lines squeeze by the radiator. So yeah, this has these little barbs in it, you can see here, and that's why I couldn't get the hose off. Speaking of, I gotta figure out which ones. This new radiator came with 2 different sizes, and so, wow, this has a huge nipple on it. I'm assuming it's this bigger one. Yeah. Oh, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. You have got to be kidding me. Are these magnetic? Yes, thank God. Get out of there, you son of a... Excuse my language. All right, so using the bigger ones. Another thing I think is important to mention is the difference in the threaded end of these fittings. You'll notice this is the one that came out of the factory OEM radiator. It's got this extra long sleeve on it, where the ones that came with the new radiator, the reproduction radiator, don't have that. They have a different threaded end style. So you can see the difference between the two. I need to go cut the hose off of the one that goes in there. I don't know if I'm supposed to use some pipe DAP on these or something. I hope not, because I don't think I have any handy. Now I gotta get that other bung off. It's still dripping. This thing I don't think is gonna stop. I don't know if these are gonna cut it. Okay. So once I cut that bung out, I gotta grab one of those bolts. I think the bigger one. Actually, I know the bigger one. And shove that in the hole. Okay. Gonna stop leaking? Yes. Sort of. I'm gonna need to trim off the end of this other one. Okay. Just clean that up a little bit. That's good enough. I think we might be good here. Now I need to get rid of the AC provision. I'm sure I'll cut myself on that in the future. It'd be worth my while to hit it with a file. It's probably good enough. All right, shroud's out of the way. Coast is clear. Should be able to drop this right down inside. I'm gonna get my bolts handy, at least for the top two holes. No, it's not gonna get it. They're too long. I just realized that you can't put your bungs in the radiator and then fit it back in. You have to wait. You have to put the radiator in first and then put the bungs in from underneath, because the when the bungs are screwed in, the depth is such that it can't fit past the fan shroud. Without having to maneuver it around and risk damaging the fins on the radiator. So I'm going to leave these off, get my radiator in, and get the two top bolts started so I can hold it in place, and then I can mess with these bungs underneath. So let's see if we can't get this thing to slide down in here. Okay. Nice and easy. Gentle. Hopefully these holes all line up. There we go. There's one. There's the second one. I think what I'm gonna do is make my life a little bit easier putting it back in. Gotta charge, yeah. Okay. There we go. Four more bolts. Okay, got one down here. These bolt locations are so awkward. Okay, and now the hard ones. Well, hard one, because this one shouldn't be too bad. It's just enough room to reach up underneath and grab onto the ratchet so you can turn it. So this is the hard one. Got it. Got it started at least. All right, bolts are in. Yeah, it'd be really nice to get another maybe 5-6 years out of this one. Okay, 4 shroud bolts. Actually, I don't want to make them too tight. Just a little snug. I got all 6 bolts in the radiator. All 4 bolts are in the shroud. The upper hose is on, the lower hose is on. Got your refill tank, or your overflow tank. Snaps into place there. All good. And all that is left is these 2 guys. and the hoses that slide over top of them. So let's get dirty again. I forgot to grab my wrench for these bungs, but these bungs are, I think I mentioned earlier, these are 17 millimeter. And I don't want to go crazy on that. That's nice and tight. Second bung goes right here. Okay. Had a bit of a fight still to get the lines on the new fittings, but they're on now. These fittings are so tight that I couldn't get them on just by, forcing them on by hand. I actually had to take a heating gun and heat the tube up to make it a little bit soft. And then still I had to wrench, just, really force them onto the fittings. So they're on now. I put some different style clamps on here. I'm gonna give these a shot. Next step, make sure that my drain is closed and I can start filling this thing up. And fortunately, thought I had more antifreeze. This is the only container I have. All right, so I'm off to the store to get another container of antifreeze. Hopefully by the time I get back, there's not a puddle of antifreeze. It's not dripping right now, but when it warms up, a bunch of antifreeze came out from somewhere. I have no idea where. I noticed it was splashing off the fan and coming all over the place. And I looked underneath and it was running. It wasn't, that wasn't a normal splash. Just, antifreeze sitting in a puddle somewhere. It was running. I'm a little scared right now. Can you hear that? What the hell is that? What is that sound? I haven't started leaking coolant yet, but I'm expecting it. I don't know what that sound is. I'm gonna wait and see if it starts leaking again. Jesus Christ. But my engine temperature is still right on point. No smoke in the back. It's running fine. I just got that leak back there. I don't know where it's coming from. It's the water pump. Goddamn thing's only been on there for 6 months. It's definitely the water pump. I'm wondering if, I replaced the radiator because it cracked and shot fluid out. And now that the radiator's replaced, my water pump is mysteriously leaking on and off. Right now it's not leaking. 5 minutes from now it'll start leaking, just out of nowhere. Could it be that the water pump is bad and that caused some sort of excessive pressure in the system, which blew my radiator? Or could it be that the radiator somehow got blocked or something and that caused excessive pressure, and that's what caused it to blow up and it took my water pump with it? Or I don't think it's the head gasket, because I don't show any other signs of a bad head gasket. I don't have any bubbles in my coolant when I take the cap off. and let it run. I don't have any white smoke coming out of the exhaust in the back. I don't have any coolant in my oil. My oil is nice and, you know, brown like it should be. I don't know. I can't think of anything else, because right now it's not leaking. And the second that I think that the problem's solved, it'll start leaking again. All right, so I guess I'm ready to start ordering some parts. But in the meantime, I got one last trick up my sleeve. This is my old radiator cap that I took off about a year ago. I don't know if it was good or bad, but I kept it as a spare just in case. So I got rid of the new one and I put this one back on. And my theory is, you know, maybe the new radiator cap is malfunctioning and it's not letting pressure out and not letting the overflow get to the tank. So I'm gonna start the engine up again. It's cold now, so I'm gonna start it up and let it come to temperature. That seems to be when the leak starts at the water pump gasket. All right, well, we're going on about 15 minutes. Not a drop. Not a single drop. So, I'm not going to say that I figured it out, but so far, so good. See what happens.